You stole it, didn't you? Amani looked up from her phone, confused. Her sister Brianna stood at the doorway, holding an empty velvet box in her trembling hands. That bracelet cost $2,500, Brianna shouted. It was in this box. Now it's gone. You're the only one who's been near my room. Amani frowned, standing up slowly. What are you talking about? I didn't touch your things. Their father walked in just then, holding the same box. His face was tight with anger. We found this in your old room, Amani. Do you want to explain? I didn't take anything, Amani said quickly. I don't even wear jewelry. But no one listened. Brianna crossed her arms, her voice louder now. She's been jealous since I got it. You've always hated that Dad buys me nice things. That's not true, Amani replied, her voice cracking. I've supported this family for years. I helped pay your school fees. I helped buy that bracelet, remember? Her father's eyes narrowed. That was then. Now we're dealing with theft. Amani looked at her mother, hoping for support. But her mother looked down, silent. Pack your things, her father said coldly. I don't want thieves in my house. Are you serious? Amani whispered. You really believe I'd steal from my own sister? No answer. Her hands trembled as she went to her room. Every item she packed carried a memory. Birthdays, family dinners, late nights helping them pay bills. It all meant nothing now. The same people she had sacrificed for were throwing her out without proof. She walked out without another word. No one followed. No one even watched her go. That night, she sat alone in her car, cold and heartbroken. She stared at the sky, trying to understand what had just happened. Her chest ached, but she refused to cry. If her family could turn on her so easily, maybe they never truly loved her. Maybe it was time to stop proving herself to people who would never see her worth. In that silence, something in her changed. She would no longer beg to be seen. She would rise and make them regret ever doubting her. Amani remembers her secret financial support. She sat in her car with her knees pulled to her chest, wrapped in a thin jacket that did little to keep the cold out. Her fingers trembled, not from the chill, but from the storm in her heart. Her family had just kicked her out like she was nothing, a thief, a liar, all without a second thought. Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced herself to breathe through them. As she stared into the darkness, her mind drifted to everything they didn't know, everything she had done for them. It started a year ago. Amani had just gotten a decent job after months of struggling post-graduation. Her salary wasn't much, but it was steady. One night, while searching for a charger in the living room drawer, she accidentally found a stack of unpaid bills. Her parents hadn't said a word, but the mortgage was behind by 3 months. The electricity had a disconnection note. There were medical bills tucked beneath them. Her father's blood pressure meds, her mother's diabetes. She remembered the weight in her chest when she realized what they were hiding. Her family was drowning in silence, so she stepped in. She didn't tell anyone, not because she wanted to be mysterious, but because she knew her father's pride. If he found out she was paying the bills, he'd explode with anger or shame. He didn't believe in children rescuing parents, but she didn't care about credit. She just wanted to help. Every month, part of her paycheck went straight to the mortgage company. She arranged automatic payments for the electricity and water. She even started slipping money into her mother's purse for food and medicine. Then came Brianna's birthday. Her sister had found a beautiful diamond bracelet in a store near the mall and had begged their father for it. Their dad had said no. Money was tight, and Brianna didn't need such an expensive gift. But Amani had seen the disappointment in her sister's eyes. She remembered how Brianna used to cry quietly when she felt left out or forgotten, so Amani bought it. She went back to the store the next day, used her savings, and asked them to deliver it anonymously. When it arrived wrapped in gold paper with a tiny card that read, "To my beautiful daughter," her father had smiled proudly, assuming it was a delayed surprise from her mom or himself. No one asked questions. No one knew it was Amani. She didn't want thanks. She just wanted her sister to feel loved. She thought she was doing the right thing. But now, that same bracelet was the reason she had been accused, humiliated, and cast out. The irony felt like a slap. Her thoughts spiraled. How could they forget everything she had done? Her father's medication. She had paid for every refill. Brianna's school tuition. Last semester. Amani had secretly sent the money when her dad was short. The house they lived in. Amani's money had kept it from being taken. Yet none of it mattered. In one evening, all her efforts were erased. All they saw was an empty box and a girl with no defense. She laid her head against the car window and closed her eyes, remembering her mother's face, downcast, silent, betraying her with inaction, her sister's eyes, full of fury and triumph, her father's voice, cold and final. "I don't want thieves in my house." How quickly love could turn into judgment. But under the pain, something began to stir in her, a quiet, burning anger, not the kind that destroyed, but the kind that built, a kind that whispered, "You are not weak." They had rejected her, fine. They had forgotten what she did, let them, but she would not forget, and she would no longer sacrifice herself for people who didn't see her worth. She wiped her tears and sat up straighter. If she could hold a family together in secret, then she could build a life for herself in the open. She didn't need their approval anymore. One day, they would remember everything she did, and on that day, they would regret ever pushing her away. Amani stared at the screen. A new text from Brianna had just come in. It read, "I really hope you enjoyed wearing my bracelet. I always knew you were jealous of me." She blinked, read it again. Her fingers tightened around her phone. Jealous? After everything she had done, after all the quiet sacrifices, the bills she paid, the gifts she gave, the way she'd carried their family in secret while they lived in comfort without even realizing it, it all came down to this. She didn't even have the bracelet. She hadn't stolen it. But no one wanted to believe that. They wanted someone to blame, and she was the easiest target. For the first time in her life, Amani didn't feel guilty. She felt hollow, betrayed, alone. She sank into the cheap mattress at the guest house she'd found last minute after being kicked out. The air was musty, the room small, the ceiling fan made an annoying ticking sound, but the silence in her heart was louder. Her family didn't trust her, not her mother, who used to call her my rock, not her father, who she'd protected from shame by quietly paying off his medical bills, not Brianna, the sister she'd once tucked in every night during thunderstorms, the same sister whose dreams she tried to fulfill, even if it meant denying her own. They thought she was jealous, a thief. She couldn't stop the tears this time. They came hot and fast, not from guilt, but from heartbreak. She picked up her phone again, more texts. This time, a family group chat. "Dad, we need to talk. Come home tomorrow evening. We deserve a conversation. Mum, please don't ignore this. It's better if we clear the air as a family." "Clear the air?" She scoffed. They had already made their judgment. They had already thrown her out. They had already looked her in the face and chosen suspicion over love. Still, something inside her ached for closure, for explanation, for maybe, just maybe, an apology. The next evening, she walked into the house she once called home. The living room felt different, colder, like the warmth had vanished along with her presence. Her father sat stiffly on the couch, arms crossed. Her mother looked tired, eyes puffy. Brianna stood by the window, arms folded, avoiding eye contact. "Thanks for coming," her father said. Amani nodded once. No one told her to sit. No one smiled. "We've talked as a family," her father continued. "And while emotions ran high the other night, we feel it's important to give you a chance to explain." "Explain what?" Amani asked quietly. "That I didn't steal something I bought with my own money." Silence. Her words hit them, but no one moved. "I paid for that bracelet," she said, her voice trembling but steady. "I bought it with my own money because Brianna wanted it so badly and you told her no. I didn't sign a card because I didn't want credit. I just wanted her to be happy." Her mother looked shocked. Brianna's eyes widened, but she said nothing. "I paid the mortgage when it was behind, the electric bills, Dad's medications, even your tuition, Brianna, last semester. That was me." Tears burned behind her eyes. "And still, when something went wrong, none of you looked back at all the good I did. You just decided I was guilty." Her voice cracked. "Do you know how that feels?" No one answered. For the first time, they all looked at her, really looked. Not as the villain, not as the outsider, but as the daughter, the sister, the woman who had silently kept their world spinning. But it was too late. "I came because you asked," Amani said softly. "But I don't need to explain myself anymore. I know what I did, and I know who I am." With that, she turned and walked away. This time, not as someone who was broken, but someone who was finally free. The next evening, Amani returned to the house, not because she believed things would change, but because something inside her still hoped they might. She had laid her heart bare the last time, revealed everything she had done for them in secret. Maybe now, with time to think, they would see her differently. Instead, She walked into what felt like a courtroom. Her father stood, arms crossed. Her mother sat stiffly on the edge of the couch. Brianna was pacing, her phone in hand. "Thank you for coming again," her father began, his voice cold and official. "We found something new." Brianna walked over and held up a small, empty bracelet box. "We found this in your car," she said. "Stuffed under the passenger seat." Amani blinked. "What? You said you didn't take the bracelet," Brianna continued, her tone sharp, almost smug. "But here's the box. That's proof enough for me." Amani looked at her father. "You searched my car." "We had to," he said flatly. "You refused to be honest. We were left with no choice." "You didn't even ask me," Amani said, stunned. "You just decided to go through my things?" Her father held out his hand. "Keys." Amani hesitated, then handed them over. Her father stepped out. A tense silence followed. Brianna didn't look at her. 15 minutes later, he returned with the box in his hand. It was there, tucked under the seat. Same box, same ribbon. "This is damning, Amani." Amani opened her mouth to speak, but stopped. Across the room, she spotted something small and glittering on Brianna's wrist. The bracelet. The same $2,500 diamond bracelet. Her breath caught in her throat. "She's wearing it," Amani said, pointing. "The bracelet. Right there." Everyone turned to Brianna. She quickly hid her hand behind her back. "It's not the same one," Brianna snapped. "This is a different bracelet." "You said it was stolen," Amani whispered. "Now you're wearing it and blaming me." "Don't twist this, Amani," their mother said quickly. "Let's not make this uglier than it is." Amani looked at all of them. Her father, her mother, her sister. They had already decided. It didn't matter what she said. Truth didn't matter. Loyalty didn't matter. Sacrifice didn't matter. Only blame did. She didn't say another word. She turned, walked out the door, and left her keys on the table behind her. They could keep the box. They could keep their silence. They could even keep their lies. But they would no longer have her. Amani documents every dollar spent, over $230,000. She goes through every receipt, bank transfer, and transaction, mortgage payments, utility bills, credit card debts cleared, hospital fees, car repairs, groceries, even the deposit for Brianna's expensive birthday party, and that bracelet. It's all there, clear, cold, undeniable proof that she had carried the family when no one else could. Her hands tremble as she finishes the last spreadsheet. Not from fear, this time, it's clarity. She calls her financial advisor. "Am I legally obligated to continue supporting my family financially?" she asks. "No," the advisor replies. "Every payment you made was voluntary. You don't owe them anything unless it's in writing, and there's nothing here that binds you." For the first time in months, Amani breathes fully. That night, she writes a formal letter. Not emotional, not angry, just the facts. Effective immediately, she is cutting off all financial support. No more mortgage payments. No more auto pay for the electricity or the internet. No more emergency transfers. She includes the full breakdown. $230,614.77 over the last 3 years. She ends the letter with a single line. This was love, not duty. She emails it to her father, mails a physical copy too. Then she blocks Brianna. On her phone, social media, email, everything. She's done chasing someone who threw her to the wolves while wearing the gift she claimed was stolen. She doesn't block her parents. Not because they deserve access, but because she wants them to sit with the silence, to realize what they've lost. She leaves the door open, not wide, but just enough for an apology to get through. But only if it's honest, only if it's real. She closes her laptop and stands. Her apartment feels lighter. Her world, finally her own. She doesn't owe anyone her peace. Not anymore. The fallout comes fast. Within weeks, the cracks begin to show. The house receives a mortgage default notice. Payments have stopped, and the bank wants answers. Brianna's college tuition is rejected due to insufficient funds. The electricity bill goes unpaid, and suddenly, the comfort they took for granted is slipping away. The family scramble. Her father sends angry voicemails, demanding that Amani do the right thing. Brianna leaves long, emotional messages, swinging between guilt-tripping and begging. Her mother texts her day and night, asking if this is punishment or a mistake, but Amani doesn't respond. She listens to the messages once, then deletes them. She's not being cruel. She's protecting her peace. For years, she had been their silent safety net. Now that it's gone, they're forced to feel the weight she carried alone. Amani begins rebuilding her life. She takes on new projects at work, starts therapy, and finally breathes in a home where her phone doesn't buzz with demands. She volunteers at a local youth center on weekends, helping girls who remind her of herself, quiet, giving, often overlooked. For the first time, her money, time, and love are hers to give freely, not taken. The silence from her family continues, growing heavier by the day, but Amani has stopped waiting for them to understand. She has found peace in her choice, knowing she gave everything she had, and finally gave herself what she truly needed. One quiet evening, Amani's phone rings. It's a number she doesn't recognize. She hesitates, then answers. It's her old college roommate, Tessa, someone she hasn't heard from in years. After a few pleasantries, Tessa gets serious. "I wasn't sure if I should call, but I thought you deserved to know." Amani listens, her chest tightening. Tessa explains that a few months ago, she was at a dinner where Brianna and some friends were talking. Brianna had a little too much to drink and started bragging. She laughed about how she finally put Amani in her place and said, "It was too easy, just dropped the empty box in her car. Dad didn't even question it." Amani goes quiet. Tessa apologizes, saying she didn't want to get involved, but it's been bothering her ever since. "You didn't deserve that. You were always good to your family. I saw that." As Amani hangs up, her hands are shaking, but not from surprise. Deep down, she always suspected the truth, but hearing it out loud, from someone with no reason to lie, finally set something inside her free. The betrayal wasn't just imagined, it was real, it was cruel, and it was calculated. But instead of rage, Amani feels clarity. She was never crazy. She wasn't ungrateful or dramatic. She had been hurt by the people she gave everything to, and now she knew it wasn't her fault. The truth didn't bring justice yet, but it brought peace. And for Amani, that was enough, for now. Mom asks to meet. She sounds tired, softer than before. Amani agrees, but only out of respect, not hope. At the quiet cafe, Mum walks in alone. Her eyes are swollen from crying. She sits down slowly, like the weight of what she's about to say is too heavy to carry. "Brianna confessed," she begins, barely above a whisper. "She lied. She sold the bracelet. She planted the empty box in your car." Amani doesn't speak. Her fingers tighten around her cup. "We're devastated," Mum says. "Your father hasn't spoken in 2 days. He blames himself. We both do. We failed you." There's a long silence. Amani looks down, then at her mother's face, lined with guilt and shame. "I'm sorry," Mum says, tears in her eyes. "Not just for believing her, but for taking you for granted, for never asking where the help came from. You carried this family alone, and we repaid you with suspicion and exile." Amani exhales slowly. "It wasn't just the money," she says. "It was how quickly you all turned on me. No questions, no trust." "I know," her mom nods. "I know we broke something in you, and I don't know how to fix it, but I want to try, if you'll let me." Amani wipes a tear but keeps her voice steady. "I needed to hear the truth. I needed this moment." Her mum reaches across the table, but Amani doesn't take her hand. Not yet. The pain is still fresh, but a door is cracked open. "I'll need time," Amani says gently, "but I'm not shutting you out forever." Her mother nods, grateful, not forgiven yet, but no longer shut out. For the first time in months, the silence between them feels like healing. Amani accepts the apology, but she doesn't go back to the way things were. She makes it clear there will be no more financial support, no more silent sacrifices. Her peace is worth more than being the family's invisible savior. "I forgive you," she tells her parents, "but I won't carry the weight anymore." They nod, understanding now what they hadn't before. It's not anger that holds her back, it's clarity. Amani moves forward with new boundaries. She keeps her distance, answers calls on her own terms, visits when she feels ready, not out of guilt or duty. Her life begins to blossom. New friends, a better job, peace she never knew she was missing. Brianna tries to reach out, but Amani doesn't respond. Some doors, once broken, aren't meant to be reopened. She no longer needs to prove anything. She knows her worth, and for the first time in years, she puts herself first, not out of spite, but love. She walks away from the past, not bitter, but stronger, empowered, whole, free. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It It really helps the channel grow. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. And don't miss the videos on your screen right now. You'll love them. See you in the next one.